I think it's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The thing that I love about Braid, though, and it goes back to that tradition of Infocom games, puzzle-based games, and you see it in games like Portal as well, is it's very, very hard to create a puzzle that's just difficult enough, where it'll take you to the brink of wanting to put your foot through the fucking TV set and send the bill to Jonathan because it's his fault. But then when you solve it, you're like, oh, why didn't I see that all along? It's very, I don't know how you do that. It's very difficult to do.
There's no reward.
I'm actually
suffer a little.
lucky enough to live across the street from someone at Valve who worked on Portal, and I bill him directly for broken controllers in my house.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Is there some...
I can tell you exactly what the trick is, and I didn't know it before making... So before Braid, right, I had a bunch of games that I worked on and stuff, but then in the process of making that game, I feel like I learned a lot about video games that took me to a different level or way of thinking about them, right? And one of the things is the approach to making the puzzles, right? When I sat down to start designing the game, I figured, it's going to be a puzzle game. And what is a puzzle game? You sit down and you make some things that are hard to figure out. You know, you maybe come up with an idea of what the puzzle is, like, hey, the player is going to have to jump and dig and jump or whatever, right? And then you make a map, and then you kind of obscure that or put some red herrings in the level. And what I found, though, was that I started feeling like that kind of approach to puzzle design is a little bit cheap and easy. Because if your puzzle is about the player has to figure out this exact sequence of moves to do or whatever, right? Then that's equivalent to like every puzzle game in some way,
Connect
right?
the dots, you know?
Yeah, or whatever, right? So, but it became clear pretty early on that Braid was about, the special part of Braid is about going into a new world and time behaves differently and you don't understand it at the beginning and you're coming to understand it, right? And the more that... So I would start making these puzzles that were like, let's communicate something cool about the way time behaves in this world, and that's going to be the puzzle, right? And then I'll put all this other stuff in the level, right? And then once I started doing that, I realized, well, actually, the beautiful part is that recognition of like, here's how that cool time behavior is. And all the other stuff in the level doesn't matter. And like putting red herrings in or trying to cover something up is a little bit cheap because anyone can do that, right? But the really skill comes from anybody could like hide a little treasure on the ground and then throw tons of shit on it so you can't see it and then whatever. But the beauty comes when there's something right in front of your face the whole time and you just didn't see it and then now you see it, right? And I learned that in the process of designing those levels, and as soon as I had that idea, it was like, that was the game right there.
So the gameplay itself is the puzzle. It's the, like what the rules are and learning how to operate under this new rule set is really where like I see kind of that mentality like it's clear in Braid, but you can see that kind of mentality in Portal as well of here is this mechanic and it's then figuring out what that mechanic really means to the world is where the
the contextualization of it. It's a contextualization of that mechanic to whatever environment you have suddenly found yourself in.
Yeah, and the best puzzle games, when I think back on them, Braid's a great example, and Portal's a great example. Is when you finally uncover it, you both feel that rush of elation that you outsmarted whatever was put in front of you, but you also feel like, man, that was right in front of me.
Yeah,
you know, but that's not in a bad way. It's in a good way because it's kind of like
it sort of teaches you observation that
exactly.
way. It teaches you to be way more aware of the things that are around you and not just look at everything as like random window dressing. It's like, well, how do I get to the end? You know, that's not the way to play those games.
Yeah, everybody in Portal starts the level by looking for the exit.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting that the early levels in games like Braid and Portal kind of ease you into thinking about puzzles and the rules of physics and time in a different way. And even much later on in the game, be it Braid or Portal, I think that the rule is the same: is that when you finally crack even the most fiendish puzzles, you realize that the solution was was always going back to the application of one of those most simple concepts, just remembering that time behaves this way or physics behave that way, and so your brain slips out of that gear, and that's why sometimes the solution, I think, eludes you.
You always have to see it through. Like you don't in Portal, you will get stuck if you only see that to a certain point. You have to keep thinking that physics kind of mentality all the way to its completion. To complete these puzzles, you go like, oh, I only go that far. Although sometimes in Portal, to be fair, you would definitely get to the point where you would just forget. Oh wait, I also just have fucking portals. I don't need to use light bridges and weights and balance. Like I can still just zap that wall and zap this wall and be there.
Every single time I got stuck in Portal 2, it was because I was making it too complicated.
Exactly.
And I had to go to bed or walk away and come back later, and there was bing, bing, boom, done.
I like to think that the best puzzle, in a way, is sort of a well-told riddle. The answer to a well-told riddle is in the telling of the riddle. And when I look at a good puzzle game, it's all there. It's just what mechanic have you discovered to uncover the answer? That's the way I look at it.
Right, it's 2 nickels.
He just got mad poetic up in here, son.
I feel like just the presence of Jonathan has elevated the level of discourse.
So suddenly we are
high-end
philosophers.
game design theory
Quick,
already.
somebody make a fart joke.
Yeah, quick.
To be fair, we are drinking Budweiser.
Yeah,
in
there
here,
is
so
that.
I'll give you that. We have lowered.
It is that classy.
Not the king of beers.
It says it right there on the can or the bottle.
No.